Alright, back again with another bench video here. So anyways, I just was like working on cabinets and testing things, and this one Jubeat cabinet keeps throwing up IC card errors, and I'm like, what the hell is that about? So, I thought it was cabling or stuff like that, and reseated a bunch of cables, and that didn't do anything. So what I ended up doing next was taking this whole module out of another cabinet and putting it in the cabinet that had issues, and it didn't follow the problem didn't follow, it didn't stay with the cabinet, it stayed with this module. So when I plugged this in the other cabinet, that worked fine. It had issues. And so anyways, while I'm at the warehouse, of course, I'm like pulling this out and looking at it real quick and seeing maybe if there were any bad connectors or any solder joints or anything. And I'm like, well, what is this little guy down here? Is that like a transistor or whatever? So I'm looking and I'm like, well, that has to be like a voltage regulator. So anyways, the thing is that this takes 12 volt DC from this IC connector, and then this is serial communications here that runs from the motherboard. But this power cable here, the orange and black, is 12 volts on the Jubeat cabinet. So I brought it home just to test the regulators working fine. Oh, another thing is that there's a LED on the bottom, and on the other unit that I swapped in, this LED was like blinking and doing stuff, but this one wasn't. And actually this one was kind of sporadic, so like sometimes it'd work and sometimes it wouldn't work and sometimes it would work. Most of the time it wouldn't work, but this LED was like never blinking, at least the times I thought to check. So anyways, I took some of these jumper leads that I bought recently that have been coming in super handy for me. They're just breadboard jumpers with clip leads, and some Chinese tastic thing, but they're not. The cable doesn't feel too bad, but that's beside the point. They're doing what I paid for them to do. But anyways, I figured what I could do is just kind of like shove these, for lack of a better word, between these pins here, because I didn't really want to solder to the board or anything, lazy. So I just kind of put these in there and beeped it out and checked just to double check that ground was ground and stuff like that. But the orange is the 12 volt and the black is the ground. Funny enough, these two outer pins are both part of the ground, and both of these are like surface mount fuses. These tested okay, but anyways, so I had to search for a schematic, and someone gave me a schematic. So anyways, this is a 7805A by Japan Radio Corporation. Can't find a schematic for the specific Japan Radio Corporation model, but they're basically all the same. So this is the voltage input and the voltage output and the ground, and you can beep it to verify. And you can also check by these values on the capacitor. So this is a rated 16 volt capacitor, and this is a 6 volt rated capacitor. So the job of this thing is to take 12 or so volts and regulate it down to a nice, even and smooth, consistent 5 volts. And so that would be coming through this capacitor, which is 6 volts. So anyways, I hooked it up to my Chinese tastic bench power supply. Let me just double check, because another thing, we're getting real jank around here. Another thing that I did, since these are just clip leads and they're really short and I just needed something to poke in there, I took my other set of clip leads that have banana plugs and just clipped them together. So there you go. There's your improvised solution for getting power to this. So anyways, my meter has a alligator clip that's clipped to ground here, and that runs into here, and then I can check my voltages with my positive lead here. But anyways, let me just make sure I'm not gonna short anything. Alright, cool. So turn this on, and we got it at 12 volts, right? So we'll see that on this pin here we'll have 12 volts, and this is our ground, and then this right here, this third pin, is our voltage output, which is 0.8 volts. That's not right. So before I had the schematic, I was worried about what the actual rating for this board was, so I started at 5 volts. If we bring it down to 5 volts, we'll see that there's some current draw. And the LED is now flashing, but this is what had me confused for a little bit. But yeah, so now we have 3.6 volts. Sometimes it's 3.8 volts, but 3.6 volts coming out. And of course we have 4.9 volts, whatever, coming in, and you know, that's not good, because when I actually got a schematic to just sanity check myself, it's actually supposed to be at 12 volts. So if I bring this up to 12 volts, you'll see this LED just stop. Yeah, around 10 volts, the current drops off and this LED cuts off. So I think it's safe to say that this regulator has gone bad, because we're just, you know, 0.798. That's pitiful. It's not supposed to do that. But yeah, I just figured I'd share that real quick. These capacitors, I recently got my little capacitor wizard ESR meter thing in, and for giggles, since I actually have that now, I checked the ESR on these caps and they're completely fine. So this 16 volt cap would be some kind of smoothing, I guess, like some kind of smoothing capacitor or something before the voltage gets in to the regulator. And then probably equally so the same for the output. So I just checked both of these for ESR, and the ESR is fine. But anyways, figured I'd share that. I'll have to order another one of these JRC, or not JRC, because that's probably unobtainium. I'll have to order another 7805 5 volt regulator for this thing, and then it should be running perfectly fine. So anyways, just figured I'd share that with you guys. Also, if you were wondering what was playing in the background, it's the track sequence for Cinco No Grande. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later.